Guys, this is just a really short clip. We're just going to make up some shortcrust pastry because the next video that I'm going to have for those of you who pay for the subscription via my cookery page is cheese and onion pasties, and for that we're going to make a shortcrust pastry. So we're going to make a really simple mix. Once we put our flour into the base, I've just added some butter and crumbled it into breadcrumbs, and we're going to add some water. Now it's just cold water and we need about 8 tablespoons. So I'm going to make a well in the centre of the bowl. So to do that, you just need to push some of the flour and the butter mixture to the side, a bit like a donut shape. And then that's just my youngest in the background you can hear. So Neve's joined us today. And just going to make a nice well in the middle. Then we're going to start off with about 8 tablespoons. So make sure you fill the tablespoons to the top. Pop it into the centre of the well. And then we're going to mix this with a butter knife to begin with. So we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So 8 tablespoons of water to start with. You might find that you need some more if it feels slightly crumbly. So we're going to mix it with the knife to begin with before we get our hands in. And just mix around from the centre and gradually bring in that butter and flour from the edge. And just keep working the mixture around. You'll see it starts to get lumpy. So just keep slicing it through with the knife. And we want nice big lumps before we think about getting our hands in. And then we're going to have a feel for the texture, which is why it's quite nice doing it by hand. So we're going to mix it with the knife to begin with. Just make sure we get all of that water in. And then we can adjust it with extra water if we need to. So just do that for a moment or two. And you'll see still mixing around. And when you can see any loose flour, just bring that into the centre. And then the lumps will gradually get larger and larger in the bowl, and just keep mixing round. And then in a moment I'm going to do a test by putting my hands in, and we're going to use what we call the claw. So we're going to really squeeze the moisture, see if we can get it to hold together. If it's still not holding its shape, then we're going to add a little drop more water, and it's best to do that 1 tablespoon at a time. If you put too much in to begin with, you can end up with a really sticky dough, and then you end up having to add more flour, which can actually detract from the flavour, take away from that lovely flavour. So I'm just going to squeeze it as firmly as possible, just to see whether that's starting to come together. And you can see that some of the mixture is starting to clump together now, but we don't want any loose flour or mixture around the edge. So we're just going to keep squeezing that together. And I think I might add about ½ a tablespoon of water in a moment. So I'm just going to see how well that's coming together. We don't want to make it sticky, like I said. So I'm going to add ½ a tablespoon to begin with. And then just work that into the mixture. Again, keep squeezing it round in a circle around the bowl. That way you just gather up any loose flour that's in there. It's nice and simple, this recipe, but it's really good to make your own homemade. I know flour is difficult to get hold of at the moment, and for our cheese and onion pasta recipe you can use shop-bought pastry, you can use frozen pastry for those. Okay, I'm going to add ½ a tablespoon more. And again, same thing, just keep going around the bowl, gathering up any of that loose mixture. So we've got 9 tablespoons altogether in there. And just keep really squeezing it, so keep working it around the bowl. And that's almost there. So you can see you've got lots of big lumps of mixture there together now. And then I'm going to tip it out onto the work surface and see whether it will start to come together in a ball. So I'm just going to tip it straight out of the bowl onto the worktop. And then I'm going to gather it together into a circle and just press it down. Just going to go onto tiptoes to get a bit more height, and just make sure. Lily's just showing me an Easter card that she's made there. It's very good, Poppet. We like that. Beautiful little bunnies on there. And as you can see with the pastry, I'm just going to push it down. So I'm not quite kneading it. I'm just pushing it all together. And then just gather all those crumbs together, because we want to be able to roll it without it cracking and without it sticking to our rolling pin. So just work it around the mat. I'm pretty happy with that. I don't think that's going to need any more water adding to that at all, but I just want to make sure. And just roll it round into a ball. Okay. Now, a good way to test as well, we're going to chill this because I'm going to use it later on for my cheese and onion pasties. You can use this straight away, so you can start rolling it now. You'll find with shortcrust pastry that sometimes when you roll it, it cracks around the edge. That's absolutely fine. Once you keep rolling and turning, the cracks will all seal and come back together, so it'll become nice and smooth again. So I'm going to get my rolling pin. Resting with the drawer of rolling pins there, and I'm just going to test it by pressing to see whether it holds its shape. Perfect. So it's not crumbling apart, it's holding its shape nicely, so you can see where you've rolled there. I'm going to roll it back into a ball for now, and I'm just going to roll it up in some cling film, and that's going to go in the fridge until I need it later on. And that's our shortcrust pastry. So any questions, please add them to the comments below. Send me a message, send me some things that you've made with your shortcrust pastry, send me some of your videos, photographs, anything at all. It cheers me up at the moment to see that you are all still cooking at home, and it's always lovely to see what you are creating. And I always like to test out some of your recipes as well, so it's nice for me to see different things all the time. Okay, so I'm just going to open up the cling film, my nemesis, cling film. We don't use it very often, only for refrigerating things. If you've got beeswax wraps, you can use those as well, so they work just as well. I'm just going to make sure that's completely covered so it doesn't dry out when it's in the fridge, and then that will be ready to roll later on. When you take it out the fridge, just leave it